Hey, is your business bleeding money behind the scenes? Most business owners are unknowingly leaving profit on the table. Why? Because they don't fully understand their numbers. In this episode of Profit with a Plan, I'm joined by Tanya Akimenko, founder of Golden Apple Agency, who has spent 20 years helping entrepreneurs to turn financial confusion into confident decision making. Today, we're unpacking why bookkeeping is essential and not optional, and the number one tax strategy every business owner should know about. And finally, why cash flow mastery creates stability and growth. So, if you've ever delayed your books, feared tax season, or avoided the financial side of your business, then this conversation is going to be a game changer. It's time to stop winging it and start using your finances as a competitive edge. Hey, entrepreneurs, are you working too hard for too little profit? Well, welcome to Profit with a Plan podcast, where we help you scale smarter, increase profitability, and build a business that's worth more, whether you keep it or sell it. I'm Marcia Riner, business growth strategist and the profit booster behind Infinite Profit. I've helped countless entrepreneurs to turn their businesses into highly profitable and sale ready assets so they enjoy more income now and a bigger payday later. So, join me for practical strategies, expert insights, and proven steps to make your business more profitable, more valuable, and built to last. Today's episode is sponsored by Infinite Profit, where we don't just talk profit, we deliver it. But before we dive in, I have something special for you. If you're a business owner who's tired of overcomplicated, overpriced marketing strategies that just don't deliver, then listen up. What if there was a simple, affordable way to market your business that actually works? The Profit Booster Marketing Hub is your all in one marketing system built specifically for busy business owners who want real results without hiring a full team or wrestling with the tech. It's automated, it's intuitive, and it comes with pre designed templates, CRM, social media tools, email and text automation, and much more. It's really everything you need to attract, engage, and convert your leads. So if you're ready for a low cost, easy to use marketing system that gets the job done, visit profitbooster.biz and let's make your marketing way more profitable. All right, let's jump into today's episode with our guest, Tanya Akimenko, the founder of Golden Apple Agency and a passionate advocate for the financial clarity in today's businesses. With over 20 years' experience, Tanya has had a front row seat to the financial decisions that make or break entrepreneurs. She knows that behind every successful business is a strong financial foundation. Tanya is on a mission to change the way business owners view their numbers. Through her agency, she provides more than just a tax prep. She delivers personalized reviews and clear financial insights that help clients make smarter, profit driven decisions. Whether it's bookkeeping, tax strategies, or cash flow planning, Tanya helps simplify the complex and make finance a powerful growth tool. Welcome to the podcast, Tanya. I'm so happy you're on today.
Thanks so much. I'm so happy to be here. Very excited.
Yeah, me too. Well, we're around the middle of the year, and I thought it was a really good time to really revisit those tax and financial strategies because, we come out of the gate in the beginning of the year and we've got all these, beautiful dreams of, oh, I'm going to do things right this year. And income's business and putting out fires and chasing customers. And, we get kind of midway through the year, and I always think it's a perfect time for that reset. And so I'm glad to have you on today. But before we get started, why is it that you think you fell into the tax line? I mean, not many people wake up and go, I love numbers and I want to make them work.
It's actually a really funny story. So, I used to live right today. I live in the beautiful Jacksonville, Florida, where it's sunny and we get to go to the beach. But there was a time I lived in the middle of nowhere in Alaska, and my ex-husband started a construction company. And this is going to give away my age, but this is before the fast internet, before online things and things like that. So we were looking for an accountant to do like payroll and especially like certified payroll. And we couldn't find anybody. The closest person was 2 hours away. And again,
Yikes.
this was before the internet, fast internet. We did have dial-up internet. But
The
you
sound of the dial tone when you'd ring in. Yes, I remember that.
But yeah, so it would be like a 2 hour drive one way just to submit our pay stubs or whatever, so
Mm.
they can give us certified payroll. And so I was like, I was working at a bank then. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to figure this out. But math was always my favorite. I did take accounting classes even in high school. I loved it. It was just, everybody thinks accounting is like a math, but in reality, it's like logical thinking. It's
Mm.
like, it's a puzzle and it's great and I love it.
Ah, I'm a fan of numbers myself. Like, in all honesty, like I can't add two and three together without my calculator, but I can see the numbers and understand what they mean, the data behind the numbers. And so I
Yeah.
always get excited with that side of it. Um,
I love what you said, the data behind the numbers. That's what's exciting.
It really is because and as today's busy business owners, if you're not looking at that data to tell you what it means and what you could do with it, then you're kind of guessing your way through your business strategy and going, maybe we will hire somebody, or maybe I need to cut expenses, or even worse, maybe I want to invest in some equipment to make me grow, right? And you can't do that without understanding your numbers.
That's so true. I 100% agree with you on that one.
I love it. I love it. So tell me about why bookkeeping is so essential in managing those kind of numbers because it is the data, right?
Yes, so bookkeeping is really essential because in order for you to get that number, to get those numbers, to understand them, it comes with tasks like nobody wants to do with that bookkeeping data entry, that every little transaction that you do is categorized correctly. Does it show
Ah,
up on the reports correctly and things like that? And with AI, it is getting faster, but also AI is only as smart as its last transaction, is what we're realizing.
mm.
So if you categorize it, if you tell AI, it's gonna just run with it, and then you're looking at your reports trying to understand your numbers, and you're like, wait a minute, this was not this expense, this was not this, and I've had to do a lot of cleanup in order for the business owner to actually understand the number. And it's because of those bookkeeping tasks that were not properly categorized.
If someone told me, and this is feels like 100 years ago, but it's kind of this garbage in is garbage out. If you don't categorize your expenses and your income properly in the right category, and that's done at setup and entry level, then you're not gonna everything like you just said is gonna be skewed on the other side, and you're gonna be going, wow, okay.
Yeah. But with bookkeeping, honestly, the task of bookkeeping itself, it's so tedious and like not everybody can do it. It does take a special person to just sit there and categorize transactions. Like I've had employees quit who had accounting degrees and they're like, listen, this isn't for me. This these tedious tasks of categorizing transactions is not for me. So, like I said, it is very tedious. Nobody really wants to do it. That's why everybody's coming out with different AIs. Like any accounting software you look at, they're like, we're offering AI because nobody wants to sit there and do the tedious tasks. But again, AI is great. I'm embracing, technology and things like that. I told my employees, I'm like, listen, we're not fighting against AI, we're learning it and we're like trying to stay, with it. But again, it's those tedious tasks. You have to set it up correctly. You have to categorize it correctly. You have to teach the AI still.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. It's all front loaded in my mind to get it programmed correctly, whether you're using AI or having your bookkeeping personnel that's manually entering this information. But I think too, with if I remember right, one of my mentors a long time ago said, run all your expenses through this one credit card because the credit card broke out the categories of what you were spending on and where you were spending it, and you kind of had one document to look at. Is that still a good practice to do?
Well, when it comes to credit cards, my philosophy is it depends what the benefits of that credit card is.
Sure.
And a lot of times, like if you get cash back, that cash back is not taxable income, but it's money in your pocket. So if you have a few credit cards, right? And there's one that you can select. Like this one, I get 3% cash back on gas. And then this one, I can get 3% cash back on shopping and things like that. But
Got
that's more of a different strategy. But yeah, I definitely agree with you. You should like dedicate a credit card, even if you're just starting out and you don't have a business card, dedicate your personal credit card and put all business on that credit card. Never ever mix expenses, business and personal.
Exactly. But it makes it a little easier to track those expenses that you have because, I mean, the last thing I want to do is walk into your office once a month with a box of receipts, right? I mean, there are a lot of softwares that can help you document your expenses and your everything coming in and out a lot easier today, right? I mean, we're not writing it all down anymore, are we?
You'd be surprised by how many people still write it down. But hopefully, yes, hopefully we are using some sort of software or even a spreadsheet, you know?
Yeah, but I think, in reality, we're business owners. So we go out to lunch. We take a client out to lunch and then we go fill up our car with gas. And then we've got that subscription for the marketing or for some sort of printing that I did. And it's like all over the place. And by the end of the day, I'm like, I got the client work done. Now I'm going to go home.
Yeah.
And I didn't input any of the expenses that I had in there. So I was wondering, there's got to be a better system or something that you use, a process that you use that makes it easier on the business owner to get that data to you in the right framework.
Yeah, so one thing with the credit card and the transactions in general, like if you do go buy supplies, it will tell you how much you spent and where you spent it, but still won't tell you enough details. Like what did you actually purchase there? What was
Ah.
it actually? Things like that. Obviously, QuickBooks is very well known and and most everybody uses it. And I know there's a lot of accounting software that are trying to compete, but I did test a lot of them out. They come close, but honestly, with QuickBooks, no one compares. And if you don't like need the invoice part, they did came out with a really cheap option, but you do have to get it through an accountant.
Oh, good.
Um, yeah, so honestly, if we get a customer that's not using QuickBooks, we put them on QuickBooks.
You're like, this is the way it's going to be, deal with it, right? Because it is. It's like you said, it's such a tedious task, and there's so many opportunities for mistakes and errors that if you're not on the same page and you're not delivering the information that you and your team need to be able to put the data in correctly, then it's just going to be that garbage in and garbage out system that gets everybody in trouble.
That's true, yeah. I did hear the garbage in, garbage out before, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's like it's terrible because here we're using this information, right? And this is the reason we're talking about bookkeeping, right? Because it's the data that helps us make the decision of, okay, is it time to hire? Is it time to invest in my company? Can I afford to pay somebody a raise or give them a profit share or gee, my marketing, how much did I really spend on that? Or, I mean, there's 100,000 different questions that you can ask your data to give you an answer as to whether yes, you should do it or no, you should not do it.
Yeah, that's definitely for sure. And if you don't have that data, you won't know the answer.
Right. Or if the data's skewed in some way because you didn't get the bookkeeping done correctly, and
That's true
therefore,
too.
yeah. So I'm hoping that this conversation is some ideas and values that the audience can hear that go, oh, okay. And
Yeah. I
first of all,
actually do have a tip for the bookkeeping.
great. Yeah.
So actually, a lot of people think, oh, it's a tedious task and things like that. And it is, most of the time it is. But you need to learn yourself, like how do you view finances? Because when it comes to finances, it's all emotional. A lot
Mm.
of people think it's logical, but it's really emotional. You're tied into it. And figure out how you are. Are you a morning person? Are you an evening person? And dedicate that time yourself to actually sitting down and looking at your finances, figuring out because they do snowball on you if you don't dedicate time. But again, there is no such like an answer like, oh, you should do it every Friday morning or whatever, you know? No, it's you got to learn yourself. You got to know when are you actually willing to do it? And just set it up and make it a habit.
Make it a habit. That's a great tip on it because um and listeners, we're not telling you to do your own bookkeeping. We're not telling you to do your own accounting or tax planning. No,
No,
we're just
no,
saying that you need to be involved.
for
And
sure.
so so I guess when you're looking at your finances on Friday morning, right? Once a week
Mm-hmm.
or once a month, whatever
Yeah.
that time slot is, what are we looking for? Are your podcast guest appearances leading to real business, or are you just hoping that listeners will take action? With the Profit Booster Podcast Monetization Hub, we turn your interviews into lead generating machines so that you capture, nurture, and convert listeners into paying clients. So stop leaving money on the table and get started today at profitboosterpod.com.
So you want to look at your, if you're, if you do have a bookkeeper, you want to look at your reports and things like that, specific things. Maybe you're looking for return on your investment. If you're doing marketing, that's important. Like, I'm spending this much money on marketing. What's my actual return on this investment and things like that. But yeah, I didn't mean to do it your own. I mean to dedicate time.
Oh gosh, no, I know.
Yeah.
I know. I always tell people that's one place that you need to invest on day one, is in someone to manage your bookkeeping and your tax planning because that's a place that, none of us are experts in, nor should we be experts in.
Yeah.
And that's the place that can get us in so much trouble. And like I said in the beginning, we need that data to make great decisions. So
Yeah.
yeah.
With us doing bookkeeping, we actually have like an onboarding, and it took me like 20 years to realize is that most people, I give them a pretty report all categorized, and they're like, great, what do I do with this? So we do have like a whole onboarding process. We have 2 meetings with them. We learn their business, how they do things. And then the second meeting, we actually show them, go over the reports. This is where you can find it. This is what you're looking for. This is what you need to focus on in order for your business to grow. And it's amazing. Like, our customers are like shocked. They're like, how come nobody's ever told this to me before?
No, because they just deliver a report if at all, and then they expect the business owner to go about their business, right? And the business owner doesn't understand what they're looking at when they look at a financial statement or a balance statement or an income statement, and to be able to go, oh, okay. So is this good or bad, right? They need somebody capable and who can speak who can speak business owner on what that number means so they can start to train themselves on how to use that data correctly, right?
Yeah, for sure. But also, finances is the heartbeat of every business. And you want to make sure you keep your hand on the pulse?
Exactly. Exactly. So I love the idea of picking out a time that, you can have a cup of coffee and you can sit down or it's in the afternoon or whatever it is that you find a time, a regular slot to review your financials and write down some questions to ask your accounting professional. But to sit there and start to go, oh, are we on track, right? Because it could be halfway through the year and you haven't looked at your financials and you're like, oh, I thought we were doing better than we were. Or how come I don't have what I thought we had in the bank? Or wow, I didn't realize we were spending that much.
Right.
You won't know if you don't look, right?
That is true. Yeah, you won't know if you don't check, if you don't review. There's, some subscriptions that you might be paying that you actually stopped using. So it's
Yeah.
important to review not just the bookkeeping reports, but also the transactions too. The
Mm,
vendors, who have you paid? Who have you
yeah.
paid and how much?
And then I think too, when you look at this kind of when you look at these reports and you're able to see that, there's some really good tricks, right? That we can start to do to master cash flow and to be able to, have better times in there. Where like even accounts receivable versus accounts payable. When do you pay people and when do you get paid, and balancing that so that you're not in the hole and floating somebody else for a period of a month before they pay you, kind of thing.
That is so true. And this is why credit cards with, points or cashbacks come into play. So you want to keep your money in the bank as long as possible before you have to pay your credit cards and things like that. I'm not saying to carry a balance, but you should pay them almost off before they close to, to show for your credit score and everything else like that. But as you said, to carry someone, it's better for your credit card to carry them than your bank account being low on funds.
Exactly, exactly. So, what are some of the ways that we can create stability and growth using our cash flow?
Really, if you have your bookkeeping and if you have your dedicated time, if you start reviewing it, that's already going to be building your stability. You're already going to know, okay, this is actually my average. And then you will know, hey, I'm actually lower. I'm actually low on funds. I'm actually low on my collections, accounts receivable. But
Mm,
if you don't have that, once a week or even at least once a month, I think at least once a month, you don't have that baseline. So, and when it goes in regards to like the cash flow, you need to establish a baseline. What is my break even point? A lot of people don't even realize what is their break even point, and that's so important. You sign up a customer, you start working on a customer. What's your break even point with that customer? When does actually profit come into play?
right. Just looking and working with some of my previous customers, trying to figure out, they did a service. This one I'm thinking of in my mind now is that they delivered a service, and they had people that were working on a team, and they were buying some products and they were reselling the products, and it was always just mind-boggling that they thought that they were more profitable on a job than they actually were, because they didn't take into consideration all the little pieces that came in and affected that job. Even something as simple as, because they had employees, workman's comp, to
Yeah,
factor that into the price of the hours that you're paying the employees, and taxes, and all the other little things. But yeah, it's really important to find that break even point. I think that's a great, great, great tool. And you can't do that unless you know your numbers.
exactly. That's
I
so
mean,
true.
it is as simple as that. But again, business owners, you don't have to be a financial whiz. You just have to have a foundation and a partner such as you, Tanya, that can come in and go, look, here's what I'm noticing. Here's a trend. Here's the direction we're heading. We might want to make some adjustments here or there. And you can't do that if you don't have a partner.
That is true. Yes.
Okay, so this is great. You've given us some real strengths on why bookkeeping is so important in the business, for the business owner to grow their profitability and to be able to make good decisions along the way. And you gave us some ideas on cash flow stability. What about taxes, right? I mean, we're in the middle of the year, and you went through a hellacious tax season. I know that many of us business owners kind of push it off a little bit, but it's something that shouldn't wait until the year end, right?
Correct. Yeah, it is better to get your taxes done on time. I know that people do file extensions, that's what they're there for. But of course, if you're not filing on time, it's most likely because you're not ready to file. And that's again where those tedious bookkeeping comes in to play. But as far
Exactly.
as like taxes, I always say there's a lot of tax similarities between businesses, but a tax return is like a fingerprint.
Hmm.
Again, it's similar, but no tax return is alike. And that's why like not all the tax strategies work across the board. There could be one for benefiting one company, and there could be one that's really not benefiting because the
Hmm.
goals are separate. When you think of tax strategy, you have to start thinking with goals first and then work your way backwards to tax strategy, because sometimes I've seen tax strategies that actually hurt the business because they're trying to write off so much, they're not showing any profit. They can't get a loan, they can't buy a building, and so on and so
Hmm.
on.
Yeah.
Um, but I would say, like, I know you touched base on the number one tax strategy. I would say the number one, especially for a business, is to make sure they're in the right entity. You start with like an LLC, you're taxed as a sole prop because the IRS does not recognize an LLC. It's just on the state level. You have to pick how you want to be taxed. But then as you start earning more money, you start growing, then you move up, you move into a corporation or an S corporation, actually. But a lot of times you just start and you choose the wrong entity from the start and it hurts you. I think if anything, the number one question should be for your tax preparer. It's like, am I in the right entity?
That's a great question because like you said, we start up and we hear something or we search something and find it, and then we never revisit that option because as we grow and expand and evolve into our current business, whether we bring on team members or partners, it's still the income levels and the things that you want to be able to have benefits from the tax code, right? So deductions and things like that, they shift as your income starts to increase and where you're going to start to see benefits. So I think a lot of business owners haven't reviewed that, and they're probably still in the same tax entity than they were when they started, even though they're 5, 10 years in, and probably should be revisiting that, right?
Yeah, I would highly recommend to revisit. At least be sure that you are in the correct one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just a entity switch could literally save hundreds of thousands of dollars on tax returns for some people.
Oh, exactly, exactly. And I think even something as simple as an S corp where you're paying yourself because you're required to as a W-2 employee, um, it now gives you business owners some financial stability along with the business being financially stable. So if you want to start making some purchases, you've got a stable income that's documentable as well,
Correct. Yes.
instead of living off of the, oh well, I made this much this month so I can pull out that much, right? Kind of the
Right.
the
Yeah.
young business kind of mentality of, I eat what I kill.
Yeah. We call that bank balance accounting.
Pay balance accounting, oh my gosh. Well, I'm sure you've seen some really messy accounting systems for sure, and the crossover, as you said, mixing personal and business, and doing all sorts of things that can just really get you in trouble. But yeah, it is. I mean, the business is, and I think you said this really well. It's an entity. The business is its own thing, its own person,
Right.
right? We
Yes.
have to treat it as such. Therefore, it needs to have its own corporate identity. It needs to have its own bank account, its own credit card, its own
Correct.
services. It's got to have everything of its own, separate from your personal stuff. And why we see so many smaller businesses, or we call them lifestyle businesses, where the business owner runs everything through.
Yeah. I always tell them, listen, give your business a people name. Call him John Smith. Would you just go up to John Smith and be like, hey, give me $50 to buy some food? No, you wouldn't. You would actually, work and then John Smith will pay you for your, job and things like that. But once it's like a aha moment for business owners, once you establish, like you said, an identity kind of entity identity for that business, now it becomes like, oh, okay, there is a wall between me and the business. We are actually separate, even
Yeah.
though, of course, you're still running the business.
And I think that's a really important point, whether you're still a newer business or even a more mature business, but to create that wall. And like you said, you're not going to go up to John and go, give me $50 for so I can buy some groceries. I mean, that's brilliant. That really gives the visuals of what you would do. You do your work, and on the 1st and the 15th or the 30th of each month, you get paid out of your business and you go buy the groceries out of your money.
Yeah.
Duh. But nobody, I mean, there's a lot of businesses that don't run that way.
That is true, yes.
It's scary. Gosh, that's why you need a professional bookkeeper to manage your business, manage the way it's set up, to have the professionals that are in there. If you're lucky enough to get a professional that has tax planning abilities, that's even better. You don't have to go, to the top of the charts to get the higher end people because they won't want to do the lower end work. And I think it's just to have that accounting team
Correct.
on
Yeah.
your list of advisors to help you design a business and run a business in the proper way that would be most beneficial to the business and to you as the owner founder. I think that's really the million dollar relationship, and the question is to have someone like you for that.
I tend to agree. I did fall into accounting because of my ex-husband, but I've like you said, I had a front row seat to so many businesses, who succeeded, who failed, and things like that. And honestly, the ones who failed are the ones who didn't understand their finances, are the ones who looked at their bank balance and made decisions based off that, and really just didn't realize that finances is the heartbeat of your business.
Mm, well said. Well said. All right, Tanya, this has been really good information, and I know there's so many different areas and legs and pieces that we could talk about that business owners really truly need to understand and get a good grasp on. So where can listeners find out more about you and Golden Apple Agency so that they can start to kind of fine tune what they're doing?
Yeah, so our website would be the best option. It's goldenappleagencyinc.com. And I actually have a quick cheat sheet for everyone. It
Cool.
talks about business expenses. Now, a business expense does need to be ordinary and necessary for your industry. But it kind of helps, like this cheat sheet kind of helps you think a little bit outside the box, because what I've noticed, some people, some business owners, especially if you're starting out too, but even if you've been in business for a while, some people don't even know what's tax deductible and what's truly a business expense. So
Mm.
it kind of gives you, this is kind of like a quick cheat sheet, kind of helps you think outside the box.
I love it. And that's so important because somebody said, "Oh, you should, because you have a business, you should run everything, your gym membership, your car, your cell phone, your spouse's cell phone, everything you own should run through your business." But it's not always true.
No, no,
So
that's how
this
you
cheat
get
sheet will help
audited.
you with that for sure.
Yeah.
Gosh. All right, excellent. And where can they find that?
It's just goldenappleagencyinc.com/cheat sheet.
Love it. Super simple, easy to find, and could probably save you a lot of money and even more headaches. So cool. All right. So this has been really good. I hope listeners you've found some ideas and strategies, bookkeeping strategies. Sorry, get my brain working again. I keep thinking about, oh, that checklist is really good. But I hope you are able to find some ideas and strategies that will help you be more profitable from this idea on here. And for that, by the way, if you are tired of overpriced marketing that's complicated and time consuming, the Profit Booster Marketing Hub is your low cost, easy to use alternative to expensive strategies, complete with automation templates and a personalized strategy call. Get more details at profitbooster.biz. All right, you don't want to forget to subscribe. You want to catch future shows. You can always find Profit with a Plan on any of your favorite podcast platforms. We're looking forward to more great profitable information on next week's show. So until then, make your plans and profit with them. Thank you so much, Tanya. This was super good.
Thanks for having me.